All right. Let's see if this is working. Gotta get it tested. Looks like we're live. Do we have a picture? That looks good. Wonderful. Do we have sound? Let me check. Do we have a... Yes, we do have sound. Perfect. We have everything we need, and we're gonna jump right into them here. The beautiful thing that is in front of us, which are the patch notes for the open beta. Gonna move my window here a little bit so I can see the chat as well. Wonderful, we got that. And yeah, we're gonna have a lot to go through here. So we're gonna start with the most basic stuff. And first of all, thanks to Tesh, who was already in chat, for linking the patch notes and letting me know that they're already up. I'm actually quite shocked because I thought they're gonna release them at the same time as the launch itself, basically. But they decided to do it quite a couple hours earlier. So this is going to be more of a commentary style going through this. I'm not going to look too much into chat because I want to do this more as a video style format, basically, for everyone who wants this later. And I'm going to try and keep this as beginner friendly as possible. So I'm going to try and explain everything that is relevant for beginners in a way that they can follow along. We got a lot to go through here, so let's get right into it. The first thing we have here are expeditions. So fix instances of boss encounters failing to begin or restart the encounters in multiple expeditions. I had that, for example, happening in the first expedition once. Basically, the boss just wouldn't reset anymore and wouldn't fight you. That was it. Fix an issue where players can get stuck between Chartis and the arena in the Lazarus instrumentality. I'm not quite sure what that one's about. It didn't happen to me. I played that, but no idea. Fix an issue with laser walls not dealing damage in stars or barrels. Okay, very obvious. Fix an issue with where Archibald will despawn during the fight in stars and barrels. There were actually quite a few despawning bugs, not just with that one, so I'm guessing we'll see more of those. Fix an issue with the Vine Bridge disappearing in Garden of Genesis. Okay. And fix an issue where players could be blocking from entering the priest mini-boss room in the depth. Okay, a very, very straightforward one so far. World, smooth the access points to ship flags on the starter beaches. Okay, this is when you have to pick up some flags on the starter beach, so they were a bit annoying to get to, and that's probably a bit easier now. Increase the interact range on the ship flags on the starter beaches again, makes it easier to pick them up. Added additional directional beacons to the FTUE. I'm not sure what that is, but I guess it's also something in the starter areas then. Fix issues where teleport shrines did not appear on the map or compass or have the beacon of light. Okay, so the teleport shrines you need to discover, and if they don't have a beacon, they're obviously much harder to find, so that makes sense, they would fix that. Improved spawn rates throughout the world at locations that were bottlenecking players on the same quest missions. This is probably especially for the main quest missions, like the tentacle one where you had 20 people waiting for one tentacle to spawn, so that is a good fix, hopefully. Improved lighting of starting beaches at night to be less dark. I feel like that's something they could do in general, not just for the starting beaches. Sometimes it is just a little bit too dark, in my opinion, but either way, good change. Quests. Fix multiple quests across the world that were causing bottlenecks due to large amounts of players attempting at the same objective. Yeah, okay, so same thing as the above one. Fix issue where players could become locked while interacting with certain lore nodes. Haven't seen that happening, but okay. Updated text description for an unpleasant task to direct players to the correct watchtower. Okay, so that was just misdirection. Fixed instances where AI could respawn limitlessly for certain quests. Yeah, I think I've seen a few of those, so they would just basically come at you very, very quickly and very often. Was not fun when it happened in high-level areas. Fix various town mission exploits. Okay. Green, yellow, and red placement validations are now shown when decorating homes. I'm not sure what yellow ones would be in that case. So obviously this indicates where something can be placed, but maybe yellow is like right on the edge of where it can be placed, I suppose. Like right before red. Fix issue where VFX for loot containers were missing when under high load. Okay. Fix circumstances where certain NPCs would be invisible before interacting with them. I had that happening a few times. That's also interesting, especially if you have to find one of them. And they're just not there. AI, tuning adjustments, general AI, increased damage scaling for AI above level 50 and above. Above level 50 and above, yeah, okay. Gradual scaling from 0% up to 25% at level 66. So actually, like most of this is probably above level 60 in that case, and below that, it's just going to be a little bit more damage. Even though I felt that high-level enemies were dealing pretty decent damage already. So I'm a little bit surprised by that. But hey, increased health scaling for AI above level 30. Also gradual scaling from 0 up to 15% at level 66. So a very, very minor increase. Shouldn't make that much of a difference. The link to the patch notes is in the Discord. Open world non-boss elites. So these are basically the open world dungeons. There are a few of those around the world where you have elite mobs and certain bosses. Increase health and damage to bring them more in line with expedition difficulty enemies. This is multiplicative with the change noted in general AI. So they should be a whole lot harder, but that makes sense because you could actually solo some of them, which probably wasn't intended. Increased damage of all non-boss world elite AI by 12 to 17%. Also makes sense. Certain elites were actually pretty easy to farm. This is probably also going to mean corruption breaches are going to be a fair bit harder, because they would apply to that as well. And corruption breaches are something you will have to farm sooner or later. Increase health of Elite Plus AI, corrupted ogres, corrupted bears, etc. by 60%. That hurts. 60% health increase on corrupted bears is not going to be fun at all. I don't know if you can solo them at all with that, but hey, that's gonna be interesting. Bears were already scary before. This is gonna make the Elite Plus ones more scary. Open world and arena bosses. Increased health and damage to bring them more in line with expedition difficulty enemies. This is multiplicative with the changes noted in general AI. So boss damage increased by 20% and health increased by 33% plus whatever they get from the other buff changes. So they should be living a lot longer and also hitting a fair bit harder, which was necessary because they were way too easy. I would even say that expedition difficulty might be a bit of a low bar still. So yeah. Definitely a good change in the right direction. We'll see how far we go from here. Expeditions increased damage for all expedition AI by 13%. Speaking of which, this is multiplicative with the change note in general AI. Okay, so that affects them too. So, okay, that should mean overall expeditions should also be at least a little bit harder. Which is interesting because I think that not all expeditions were like equally too hard or too easy. Rather too easy, but I think the first expedition was actually weird in that regard, and if the last boss there is buffed a little bit, that might actually be quite of a gear check for early players then, for early level players. All right, we'll find out. Bug fixes. General players may no longer transfer boss status effects back to the boss through the use of contagious reverse stab perk. Okay, makes sense. Resolved several leashing bugs that allow players to kill AI from unreachable positions. There were a lot of those actually. And resolved a bug preventing Dynasty trainees from damaging the player. Not sure what that one was, where those can be found. Event scale reach, maybe? Not sure. Arenas. Spriggan now uses heal behavior more consistently. Now uses his Vine Sweep attack while his target is in melee range. Okay, I think he previously only used that on longer range. Increase run speed and accuracy of target movement when chasing a target. Okay. I didn't even realize that Spriggan chased all too much. Fix an issue stopping him from using Burrow to pursue far-range targets. And fix an issue allowing the Spriggan to be attacked while spawning. Okay. This is only really relevant for people who have played against the Spriggan. The Spriggan was incredibly easy. So, yeah. Not much to say about that. If you played against me, you'll know what this is, and otherwise it doesn't really matter. So it should be at least a little bit more of a challenge now. Okay, expeditions. The depth, that's going to be the interesting one for the beta especially. Archdeacon Azamela. Fix an issue that caused the Archdeacon's mines to not be destroyed when he is interrupted by destroying his monolith. Oh, okay. Wait, never mind. This is not relevant for beta, actually. This is a level 45 dungeon, but this is interesting because those mines did sometimes seem a bit odd. Fix an issue that caused the Archdeacon to skip phases if pulled to room entrance. Okay, didn't see that. Dynasty Shipyard, Empress Zhu Taiying. Fix the bug that causing pedestal hitboxes to be up too high. Okay, didn't notice that. Garden of Genesis. We're just going to say Mal. Fix an issue causing his root wall AoE attack not to reach the edges of his arena. Okay. Not quite sure what the root wall AoE attack is if it's not reaching the edges, because I thought it's the one we walled in. Alright, not sure. The Blighted Greenkeeper. Okay, that's the one who has the wall. Okay. Fix an issue allowing her to throw a boulder on herself and take heavy damage in phase 3. Okay. Again, not something I noticed. I feel like a lot of these bugs are outlier cases so far. Starstone Barrels, Granual the Regent, fix an issue that sometimes caused her Undying Army spawners to not despawn when she dies. Okay. Lazarus Instrumentality, Chardis, resolved an issue allowing his phase 3 beam attack to not correctly end after the target had been downed. So I wasn't even sure if that one is only meant to end when the target is downed or how exactly that's meant to work, because it ends eventually without downing the target, which is interesting. But there should also be a mechanic to cancel it, as far as I understand it. And then tune damage volumes for a more consistent play experience. Okay. Combat. And now we got the real big hitters. Now it's going wild. PvP scaling has been reduced. The level difference will matter more in your encounters, meaning that it will take more hits for a lower level player to kill a higher level player and less hits for a higher level player to kill a lower level player. I think that is an incredibly unfortunate change. I can put on my molding face if it works. Let's see if I can put on my molding face. Yes, this is my molding face. I'm upset. This is not how it should happen. I think that the PvP scaling was a really cool mechanic. Sure, it needed some polishing. There were some inconsistencies between levels and how it worked, but it sounds like they're just intentionally making it so that you are at an advantage now if you are fighting a lower level player. Because they say specifically the level difference will matter more. And I thought this like even ground except weapon skill was a really cool mechanic to encourage PvP at all levels and not have high level players farm low level players basically. I think there was still room for levels to be relevant anyways, because you have high level modes, you have the outpost rush that you can only play on level 60, and in wars the scaling is off or different as far as I'm aware. So there was still, I think it's probably not off, but well, whatever. But there was still room for it to be applied in other places. But I thought in open world having this PvP scaling was a really cool thing. But I also know that a lot of big streamers complain about it because they couldn't stomp other players when they rushed to level 60 by getting stuff gifted. So maybe that's the reason. So yeah, I am not I'm not a fan. Unfortunate that they decided to go in that direction. All right. Reduced Constitution 250 attribute. That's also a very big one. Threshold bonus damage reduced from 80 to 60%. That's the one that reduces the initial hit damage when you're full health. But previously by 80%, and now it's only by 60%, which makes a lot of sense because that was just insane reduction. Warhammer. Reduced Warhammer hardened steel damage reduction bonus from 20 to 15%. Not quite sure what the hardened steel perk was, to be honest. So yeah, just take it as such. It's just a 5 less mitigation on one of the effects. Sword. Freeing Justice passive will now only remove a single debuff, not all debuffs. Interesting. I thought that whole cleanse all the way was an interesting design choice. They apparently don't want that. And how does it choose which one to remove now? Fortitude has been replaced with Invigorating Bulwark. This passive will grant 15 stamina on hit with the Shield Bash and Shield Rush abilities. Now I'd have to remember what Fortitude is from the top of my head. But this is definitely a very strong effect because it means that you can very frequently reset your... what do you want to call it? Reset your block stamina and keep your block up by CCing the enemy even more, which was already pretty easy beforehand. I'm actually going to have a look real quick to make sure that I'm thinking of the wrong effect. No, it's not the one that I was thinking of. Okay, where is Fortitude in the tree? Fortitude, where is it? Just a... No, that's final. Here, final. Previously it was when holding a sword, your current and max health are increased by 10%. Okay, that's actually a good change then, because the previous version of it with the max health just messed up a lot of other stats, especially because you would switch back and forth between weapons and then you'd have that health and you'd not have it again It just made it more messy. So I think this is a much more interesting mechanic overall, and definitely makes PvP Sword and Shield more viable, and also makes Shield Rush as an ability more viable, which is not the best ability overall. So this is a great change in my opinion. So I think this is very good. Leaping Strike startup frames reduced from 16 to 14. Also very good, because one of the big problems of Leaping Strike is that it's a relatively slow ability. So cutting down that for the mobility ability that the Sword and Shield has, very good change. Leaping Strike distance increased from 4 to 6 meters, also very good. So you can probably actually catch enemies with this now. Big changes for the sword here. This should actually become a pretty decent PvP weapon through this. Counterattack has been modified to be able to stack and obtain a better bonus. It now grants a 3% empower for 5 seconds when blocking an attack, and can stack up to 5 times for a maximum of 15% empower bonus. Previously it would grant 10% empower for 20 seconds after blocking an attack. So this is a bit weird, because I would say it's not necessarily a better bonus. Yeah, it can be up to 15% now, but if it's previously just one attack for 10%, I would say that was a lot easier to do. And overall the reward would be higher. But hey, either way, I like changes that make the sword playstyle a little bit more aggressive and reward blocking. So I'm all down for these changes. Life Staff, Sacred Protection passive changed to grant 5% increased incoming healing efficiency to all group members, used to grant additional max HP. Yeah, makes a lot more sense for a healer, fair enough. Life Staff will get some other changes later down the road where we get to that. Reduced effectiveness of Orb of Protection fortified from 15 to 10%, so a little less damage reduction for anyone affected by it, also absolutely fair enough. Hatchet, that's a really big hit here. Can you see it like this? Or I have to scroll up or down a little bit? No, we're good. Berserk duration reduced from 12 seconds, and the cooldown has been increased to 18 seconds. Yikes. That was 15-15 before, if I recall correctly. And now, Berserking Refresh, we knew something was going to happen with it, now heals for 10% every 4 seconds, while Berserk is active for a maximum of 30% health. Previously, it was every 5 seconds, so a bit slower, for a maximum of 35% health. So we're actually losing 5% healing here, but we're getting it a little bit quicker, I think. Because 5 seconds for 35. And it would have been about across 15 seconds before. So yeah, I guess, you know, it works out a little bit in that big regard, but like with a longer cooldown and everything, you're still getting less healing overall, definitely. They kept the percentage scaling, which is interesting, so it's still going to be viable to use this as a constitution weapon as well, which I thought they would prevent. I thought they would go for a lifesteal option or for a flat heal option, but they nerfed it either way. But with this new value, I would say it's still good. It's still a weapon that you can use in PvP, especially if you're melee, to survive a ranged enemy better by just going out of their way for a bit and using Berserk to heal up. And I thought they would want to prevent that, but it seems like they don't really want to do that. So, Great Axe, reduced effectiveness of Gravity Well, unyielding Fortify upgrade from 15 to 10%. Really surprising, because I don't know, I guess people use it in wars sometimes, but outside of that, I don't even know when you would use that. That's basically allies getting extra protection when standing in the Gravity Well, but normally Gravity Well is something you put on enemies and not on allies, so yeah, I guess this was for like some niche strategies. Reduced the Great Axe enduring strike damage reduction bonus from 20% to 15%. Now I have to look up what the enduring strikes were, because I don't remember all the perk names yet from just memory. Let's have a look. The enduring strikes, is that on the right side of the tree? No, that's the enduring pull. They renamed that, maybe. I think that may have been the grit attack. Yeah, I think it's the providing your heavy attack with grit and giving you 20% damage reduction previously. Now scaling that down to 15%. And the second hit of Reap no longer has stagger on it. I didn't even know that it had stagger on it, to be honest. I thought it was just a very quick hit. I never noticed that. Must have been a very short stagger, but okay, fair enough. It didn't have stagger in the description, so it makes sense. bow. Reduced effectiveness of bow, unbreakable focus, fortify passive from 20% to 10%. I think that is when you're using the bow and you're aiming, then you actually get this fortify effect for the duration. I think that's the one. But either way, it's a damage reduction perk on the bow. That's nerfed. Chain perks. Reduce the number of times the chain perks chain to another target from 5 to 3. So it was never infinite apparently, or it was bugged. But now the chain perks on weapons, the bounces that you're going to have when you have a chain damage effect are only on 3 targets. And chain elemental perks now trigger only off basic attacks, light and heavy, and have a 2 seconds cooldown. Heavy nerf here because it used to proc off abilities and off every single ability swing. So if you have an attack with a very quick swing, like for example on the rapier, technically also on other weapons like the spear, you could proc this chain effect very often and reach way higher extra damage from it than you were otherwise able to get with normal basic attacks. So this is double nerfed. It's not only on only abilities now, but even if you have super high attack speed, it has a 2 seconds cooldown now, so you're not going to get it that often. I think most attacks actually happen very much quicker than that. So yeah, that's huge. Like that's a very significant nerf to chain perks. I think they will still be good in like some situations for like tanking and stuff, but I think in terms of what you get for like broken PvP mechanics, this is 100% dead, and that's a good thing. That was never intended to be that good. Equip load updates. The 20% damage increase for light load equip and the 10% damage increase for medium equip load should also affect the healing output. Very important for the character. Healing is reduced by 20% to account for this. We want the best healer to be in light gear. So if you are a healer currently and you were wearing medium gear, this means you effectively get a 10% healing reduction compared to what you'd otherwise have. So you are going to wear light now. There's not going to be heavy gear healers that actually heal in dungeons. You may still see them in PvP for self-heal maybe, but not outside of that, because if you want to heal, you're going to be in light gear. Reduced the medium equip load threshold from 15 to 13 and the heavy threshold from 30 to 23. This sounds like maybe a small-ish change, but it's actually gigantic. So this is the cap for how much weight you can carry before you get into a different weight class. And what would happen before was people would go a lot of medium gear and a little bit of light gear and still be in the light weight category and get the 20% damage bonus. Or they would go into a lot of heavy armor and a little bit of medium armor, just one piece of medium armor, and still be classified as medium. I have a video later today where I talk about damage builds, constitution, and all that stuff. And in that context, I kind of show how potent a medium weight gear with a lot of heavy gear a lot of heavy armor really was. So this is most certainly a massive nerf to many current playstyles and many current builds that effectively makes any squishier player weaker. Obviously, the only ones that don't really see a difference here are heavy users that didn't use heals before. They were already using heavy. We'll see, because especially the higher threshold here is cut down a lot. The heavy threshold is cut down a lot. So we'll see what you can get away with in terms of medium to heavy gear. But yeah, this is interesting news for the light, medium dodge roll users as well, because they will now have much lighter gear and take a lot more damage, but also potential deal damage. So very, very interesting change. Will heavily shift the PvP meta, especially like the small scale PvP meta. But I'm excited to see it as well, because I don't think that the previous values were good. So I think this is still a good change, and there will be some other ones along with that. So we're getting to those now. Armor. Normalize the weight of protection ratios, physical, elemental balanced within each armor class. So I'm guessing this means weight to protection ratios. So basically we'll see some either some different weight values on some armor, or more likely some different protection values on some armor to kind of match the weight classes a little bit better. So yeah. Okay, which one is just saying 2 pounds on light armor just moves 1 slot from medium to light. Yeah, I think that's still a pretty significant difference, because depending on what gear you're running, you won't necessarily have the ideal ones at all times anyways. So I think it'll be huge, because the gear difference, the armor difference between light and medium is quite hefty, and the current difference in having very low armor or having a medium level armor is immense. Like, if you, I'll look into the numbers a little bit in the video later today, but there's definitely there are diminishing returns at some point. But if you are very squishy, it makes a huge difference for who you can fight into in terms of the armor you're wearing. All right, so increase the armor provided by chest pieces and reduce the armor provided by helmets. So this would probably align with the weight of those particular parts, so that it makes sense basically. And then slightly increase the armor granted by balanced ratios to match the total armor provided by physical and elemental ratios. Granted by balanced ratios to match the total armor provided by physical. That's what some weird wording there. So I think it means that you're just generally going to have a little bit more balanced out stats between physical and elemental, maybe? I'm not entirely sure what they're trying to express here. Or maybe I just don't know what the balanced ratio is meant to be in this context. Reduce the weight of round and kite shields. Also, fair enough. I think they had the intention for you to be able to use shields without always dropping into heavier PvP classes. In the heavier weight classes for PvP. So this should be like, this should enable you to have one of the smaller shields with less block stability in one of the lower weight classes, so you can run around as a light user with block. So yeah, that should be pretty good. I'm gonna have a quick drink in between here because I'm talking a lot. All right, moving on. Housing trophies. Reduce the damage bonus against creature families from 6 to 10% to 3 to 5%. I guess because you could like stack 3 of them, one in each house, and then you could farm dungeons too quick or something. Or farm mobs too quick. Clamping of Empower and Fortify buffs. Potions will now be included in the clamping of Empower and Fortify buffs 50% max. So clamping, I'm assuming in this case, means it's a hard cap. So if you have multiple Empower or Fortify buffs, each of them will be a maximum of 50%, and everything is included there basically, now also potions. Good change. Elemental damage consumables. Updated duration from 3 minutes to 30 seconds. What? Update the effect of the consumables from 10% to 25% to 9% to 15%. 30 seconds. Okay, that's pretty short. I guess they just want you to use that in like a one quick burst phase then. Alright. Odd. Considering you still have to get them first, but I guess that's what they want. I'm not sure, but we'll take those. Strange. Creature family absorption consumables. Updated duration from... From 5 minutes to 20 seconds. Updated the amounts of hits players can take when using creature family consumables from 10 to 20 to 5 to 15. Updated the effect of creature family consumables from 20 to 50% to 5 to 15%. Set all absorption consumables to have a 120 second shared cooldown. They just put everything together. Reduced duration, reduced the amount of hits you can take, and massively reduced the effect of consumables. So somebody must have found a way to really abuse this. I mean, 50% is massive, but so now it's just a very, very brief, very, very brief survivability bonus here against creatures, and not even by much. Like, you have to craft all of these. You have to gather for these. They feel so short in return now, but I guess it's a tank thing, probably. Oak Flesh Balm and Gemstone Dust Consumable. Update the duration of Oak Flesh Balm and Gemstone Dust Consumables from 5 minutes to 30 seconds. Another one of those. Update the amount of players can take, blah, 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 from 5 to 20 to 6 to 15. And the effect increase, on the other hand, here from 5 to 15 to 10 to 35%. Gotta admit, I don't remember what the effects of these were. But was that the weapon ones? Not sure. Anyways, another consumable that's cut down massively in duration, but gets a pretty solid percentage increase in return. Siege turret. Oh. Increased explosive cannon damage by 30%. That is big. That is big in wars. You wanna use cannons now, I think. Capped repeater max damage fall off at 90% instead of 100%. Okay, so in a longer distance you deal less damage. Repeater damage fall off now starts at... Wait, huh? Oh no, max damage fall off. Oh no, you deal more damage. You still deal some damage even at max range, but you only still deal 10% of the damage instead of not dealing any damage. And the fall off starts at 80 meters instead of 60 meters. So that's an interesting one. So they're buffing the repeater as well because they know they insanely buffed the cannon here. Siege weapons now damage. Siege weapon damage is now mitigated by armor. What? Whose armor? Your own? What? Siege weapons increase damage by 20% in general? Okay. Okay, so siege weapons were super strong in wars already before, and in the first wars they weren't used that much until we all figured out just how strong they are, and now they're even stronger. Oh no, siege weapon damage. Okay, I get it now. So this means the damage dealt by siege weapons is not mitigated by armor, and that explains these buffs. That also explains why they did such insane damage beforehand. I was wondering why you can hit like people for like 2k. Okay. All right, this makes a lot of sense. So this is the big nerf here. The rest are the compensation buffs, essentially, because armor apparently didn't work. So squishies will have a terrible time against siege weapons now, because for them it probably means that they actually take more damage, but tanks will actually survive them much better, which is, yeah, what it didn't feel like before, so that makes a lot of sense. Okay, got it. We got it. Lifestyle buff. Reduced effective of a lifestyle? Is that lifestyle? Reduced effectiveness of a Khan blessing lifestyle buff. Corrupted enemy absorption from 20 to 5%. What is going on? Why is this called lifestyle? I'm not sure. I've never seen this, and I feel like it's a typo, but I don't know. Maybe it's not. Maybe there is a lifestyle buff that I'm unaware about. Either way, it's corrupted enemy absorption. Okay, all right. Perks. Fortified recovery effectiveness reduced from 30% to 10%. Okay, this is all fortified ones. Like keenly fortified effectiveness reduced from 30 to 10%, and mortal fortification effectiveness reduced from 30 to 10%. I am actually not sure where all of these perks come from, where you get all of them. But okay, they definitely scaled on fortify in general because people were kind of figuring out how to get too much damage reduction overall. Oh, lifestyle buffs are from the governors. Thank you. Okay, so the town ones, basically. Healing potions. Increase base damage health gained from health potions from 160 to 1,800 to 200 to 2,400. Decrease the amount of health gained from potions based on a percentage of the max health from 15 to 7%. This is a very, very interesting change as well. So this means effectively low health builds are stronger now because you get more healing out of the potion from the flat amount, and the flat amount is always going to be better if you have lower health and maybe more armor or whatever, or more damage. Whereas the percentage heal is better if you have, or like percentage heal is equally strong for everyone, but the value that it heals is higher for a tank, but that doesn't really matter because if you match it against the damage from the enemy, it doesn't make a difference. So purely a buff for squishier characters in that regard, for low health characters. So also for mages and stuff, but also for PvPers that don't want to go too heavily into Constitution. Increased base health of regeneration potions from 30 to 180 to 40 to 240, and increased amount of health gained per section from the regen potion based on a percentage of the max HP from 1.5% to 0.7%. Phrasing! What is going on? Okay, so region potions get a flat increase as well and a percentage reduction as well, basically similar to the health potions, as far as I understand this. So same concept here. Endurance potions. Removed endurance potions from the alchemy crafting station. This item has been removed from the game. Okay. All right. What's up there? All right. I am not sure that why they straight up removed them, but okay. Gems. Amber Gem. Reduced the damage scaling obtained from Amber Gem nature when putting attributes into focus by 20% to make healers' secondary weapons a bit less powerful in terms of raw damage for focus build. Yeah, stamina recovery on the endurance potion. I'm just not sure why they just removed it. I guess they just want you to manage your stamina properly. Right, so gems. Amber Gem nerf makes a lot of sense to me because you shouldn't scale as well in damage as damage dealers when you're a healer, I suppose. I'm not sure if there will be gem fixes mentioned later on. I think they're not going to mention everything they did in these patch notes anyways. There's also some other stuff that I haven't found, like sheath and stuff, so we'll have to see what about that. But Amber Gem, definitely a reasonable nerf because there were just too many lifestaff weapon, like lifestaff and Amber Gem weapon players, so yeah, that's a good change. Attribute threshold bonuses. Adjusted the strength 100, 50, 100, and 150 attribute threshold bonus to prevent the damage bonus from being applied to elemental melee attacks. Wait, no mention of dexterity? Well, we can still break it with dexterity, so we don't have to care. I'm one step ahead. Dexterity has a perk that does the same thing. It will only apply to the physical damage. This is to prevent doubling on the bonuses when using elemental conversion gems with those attributes. So the interesting thing is that according to the description of this, it actually makes sense that the elemental part would also scale because it just says light and heavy attacks. But it's definitely interesting that they're not doing the dex one along with that. I guess it's either not known or not enough people running dex and they're like, oh, you know, dex can have a bit of an advantage. Okay. War. Small deployers, inferno traps, and powder kegs now have shared deployment limit of 15 per team in war and invasion. This makes a lot of sense because people were spamming inferno traps everywhere to just completely zone off areas. And now if they want to use powder kegs, they at least have to, you know, limit themselves somewhere. Notable bug fixes. Okay. That's a lot one. Movement speed increases. Fix an issue with players having a permanent movement speed buff applied. Yep, happened to me once. Movement speed decreases. Fix an issue where movement speed could not be slowed by more than 10%. I wonder if that was the case for everything. It says fix an issue, but if that was always the case, then it explains why slow felt so bad. Stuck on loading screen. Fix an issue where players can get stuck in the infinite load screen and respawn at random starter beach if they die before getting to watchtower respawn point. Oh, funny. Life staff, speed of light upgrade now function. Okay, functions didn't function before at all. Jump, you're now able to jump while in exhausted state. Nice. I didn't like that you couldn't do that. I mean, it makes sense that you couldn't do that, but it felt bad. You can try to jump enemy attacks if they're like a musket user while you're in exhausted state. Attribute threshold bonus, 250 constitution bonus should now have a 60-second cooldown. Okay, good. That's a very long cooldown. Attribute threshold bonus. Now I can pat myself on the shoulder for this one because I found it. 150 constitution bonus should now only reduce damage from critical hits, not all hits. That should nerf constitution a fair bit. Rewards from duels. Players should no longer be able to get PvP rewards from duels. Makes sense. Sword. A leadership passive will no longer persist after leaving the group. Makes sense. Life staff. Mending touch will no longer remove all debuffs, only one. Same thing as the sword perk there. Life staff. Magnify ultimate now extends buff durations. Not quite sure what that ability is. I don't know too much about the life staff, to be honest, so I can't tell you much about that. Life staff. Inspire will now increase stamina. Great Axe. Heavy pull no longer causes heavy attack to hit twice. That is a very big one that a lot of people were for some reason hoping would stay in the game. Enduring Strike will now reduce damage by 20% while in grit. But that's the opposite of what they said above, if I recall correctly. I thought they reduced it down to 15%. Or maybe it just didn't work before. Maybe that part didn't work at all. Just double hit and the reduction didn't apply. And now they reduce it preemptively. Bow, deep strike upgrade will now only increase damage on penetrating shot, not all attacks. Okay, also interesting. Didn't know that was a thing. Swap weapons. When using swap weapon active weapon when using swap active weapon keybind, your weapon ability wheel will now toggle when swapping weapons. Does that mean it will now immediately show that the weapon is swapped even if you're not swapping yet? Because if yes, that is a very good change, because it's a lot of visual clarity that was lacking before, where you would end up spamming the swap and then swapping twice. So this could be a very good change, but I'll talk about it in a key binding video soon, that there's a better way to do that anyways, and you probably shouldn't use this anyways. But it should be better to use now if that's how I understand it. Sword. When using contagious reverse stab perk, damage over time attacks that are transferred to the other players will now cause damage. Oh, they didn't before. Damage over time didn't cause damage. Okay, good. So it works as intended now. Falling. Fixed issue that would cause you to go into fall state while navigating downstairs in inclines. Yeah, that was funny. Encumbered navigation. Fixed to jittery navigation animations when becoming encumbered. Yeah, that was interesting. When you were just over the threshold by a little bit, it got a little weird. Oh, there was a bug when you could swap and it wouldn't show the current abilities. They were invisible. I see. Thank you. I guess that may have been what they're talking about here then. Hopefully they're doing both anyways. Darkness events. Fix to many crashes and freezes while engaging with darkness events. The corruption, or is that something else? Hearty perk. Fix the bug that would cause you to not be able to block or dodge when having the hearty perk equipped. Oh, so that was what that was. Interesting. Fishing. Fixed to camera snapping and rotation that could occur during fishing. Okay. Sword. Leadership passive effect no longer persists after leaving the group. Wait, is this twice? This was up above already. Life staff. Mending touch passive no longer removes all debuffs. What? They're repeating themselves a lot here. Ice pile and health bar should now be blue for allies and red for enemies. Okay, so the ice pile and red bar showed up. Health bar showed up red for allies. Life staff inspire upgrade now functions. Also twice. Siege weapon damage not mitigated by armor. Also twice. Life staff splash of light will now only heal group members as intended. Rejoice. Rejoice. Give me my happy face. Rejoice. This was healing enemies at like 100 meter, allies in 100 meter radius, which was not intended. Not just in a party, just everyone. And the bow, the unbreakable focus buff can no longer stay on forever outside the aiming state. Okay, I'm actually gonna try and link this for you guys very quick, because I keep getting questions. Maybe you can see it like this. Okay, and then where were we? Bow here. Cannons. Attackers can now be attacked during the upgrade process during wars. What do they mean by the upgrade process? Attackers can... Huh. I didn't know that you can upgrade cannons during the war. I didn't realize that. Yeah, you know, you can repair them, but what? Oh no, it's the attacker's cannon. I guess you can upgrade them. Hatchet. Stay back passive now applies correctly. 25% slow for 4 seconds. Interesting. Wait, stay back? Isn't that social distancing now? Is that another one? Let me check that real quick, because I'm pretty sure that is... Pretty sure they're talking about social distancing. Which they're named. Oh no, yeah, stay back is the passive of the social distancing perk. Okay, so it's just the increased slow that didn't work properly. Okay. Where were we? Here. Bow fixed animation canceling, causing bow shoots a faster rate than intended. No, that was fun. I thought that was a good mechanic. That was what you could do. Was basically you could use you fire a light shot and cancel the post animation into an aimed shot, a right click shot, and fire quicker. I thought that was a mechanic that felt good to use, and a skillful cancel. Like, that's the type of cancel that I think is fine. Oh, unlucky. Ice Gauntlet. Ultimate Chill should now apply a chill debuff and increase ice damage taken by enemies by 35% for 3 seconds as intended. Okay. So I guess it didn't apply the debuff. Ice Gauntlet Empowered Strikes should now apply increased damage when target is below 30% health as intended. Interesting. The Ice Gauntlet apparently, a lot of things not doing the damage they were meant to do. And Refreshing Spikes should now give a cooldown reduction as intended. The Ice Gauntlet really just getting fixes here. War. Defenders can no longer use the respawn option to spawn at the rally point before the war has started. Aha! So that is how they rushed our gates. I just learned. I just found out. We had a war where against a company that basically managed to be at our gates at the start of the war, and we were wondering how they were so quick. So that's a very good fix. That is a very good nerf / fix. Well, I just lost a lot of respect for some people. Okay. Damage Conversion Gem. Fix the bug where the intelligence attribute threshold bonuses were being applied twice when using a damage conversion gem. So I'm assuming that is the gem issue that we're talking about. It wasn't necessarily applied twice, but I'm assuming that this is, well, it's only in the first rank, so I'm assuming they fixed the scaling for this entirely, hopefully. So yeah, this should be working now. Okay, economy, progression, rewards. Progression, added tier 4 and 5 Azoth staves to be unlocked in the main quest story. Tier 4 is required for the completion of level 50 corruption breaches, and tier 5 is required for the completion of level 60 and 65 corruption breaches. So we are likely going to get a longer main story quest already, but I feel like not a lot of people are going to see him in this beta. Reduced, because of this, reduced XP for town projects. Raw material turn-ins reduced by 25%. This is another nerf. We already had a nerf at the end of the beta. They don't really provide that much anymore, I think. Refined material turn-ins reduced by 30%. That's the really heavy hitter, because that was like the best part of leveling, the refined tier 1s one. Tier 1 ones. Crafting armaments or turn-ins reduced by 50%. And this is especially huge because crafting armaments are also a fantastic way to level crafting along with what else it offers. So sad times. And provision turn-ins reduced by 50% as well, which is cooking as well. And some of the cooking ones were huge. I was actually include in a guide that if they kept them, that you should do cooking just for the town quest turn-ins, because some of them are actually not that hard to get if you just farm some mobs and you get so much XP for it. Not anymore. XP required to level at a lower levels has been reduced by a small amount. That makes sense because they had all this XP nerfs in return. But XP required to level from 20 to 30 has been reduced by a medium amount. So that is very good because the leveling curve from 20 to 25 is currently awkward because there aren't enough quests in that area. So speeding it up at that point a little bit is a very, very good call. Reduce the faction. Reduce the faction granted permission for PvP missions in Monarch's Bluff, Cutlass Keys, and Morningdale to account for their shorter travel times. Okay, also makes sense. So, faction tokens is what they're talking about here, I think, or faction reputation. Well, maybe both. Either way, so PvP missions that are easy to do give a little bit less rewards. Fair enough. Okay, what we got? Crafting. Removed the recipes for endurance potion. Yeah, again, that has been removed. Rewards. Increase the drop rate for named items from expedition bosses. I thought they were relatively rare. That it was actually relatively hard to ever see any of them at all. So yeah, fair enough. I think that's a good change. Adjusted the perks on many named weapons in an effort to better distribute perk availability on named weapons while making more of them feel unique and well synergized. Okay, so we're just gonna see completely different stats on some of them, it seems, and perks and attribute perks and everything. Cool. That makes sense because some of them were just really mixes that you wouldn't want to like farm, even though they should be unique and special. So there wasn't really much of a reason to. Normalize the perks on all factions, weapons, and armor. Huge one here. Absolutely huge one. This change made lower level faction armor give crit damage defense instead of cooldown reduction. So, now no more advantage for any faction here in that regard. Increased the cost of all faction armor and weapons. That is what we already heard through the grapevine, so as expected. Apparently the increase is quite significant here. Removed socketed gems from all faction armor. They now have an empty gem slot. This is gigantic. I cannot overstate how much of a difference the early damage mitigation gems did for certain builds. Now you will have to get the gems for it, which most people won't, so combat will look very, very different in that regard. So, yeah, that is gonna be interesting. Reduce gear score of tier 4 faction equipment from 495 to 490. Well, whatever. But reduce gear score of tier 5 faction equipment from 550 to 535. Still gonna be good once you hit level 60, but it's gonna be more expensive. I don't know if they changed the quest levels as well or not, if that made it through, but either way, it's gonna be more expensive. You might only reach it a little bit later. And yeah, you'll get slightly worse gear that is still very, very good gear though for level 60 to just start out with. So yeah, you're probably still gonna buy at least some of them in places where you don't find something better through dungeons very quickly. Equipment visuals. Materials fixed for war style weapons, war kite shield, vengeful war spear. Icons fixed for various shields and armor, blah blah blah. We don't need to go through that, just fixed icons. More notable bug fixes. Many named items had duplicate or otherwise incompatible perks and have been updated. Okay, that's interesting. Fix an issue that was causing some very low-level items to roll with perks, which could cause players to get green items that weren't special in any way, other than the color green, which is special to some people. Yeah, I like that. I want to have a green item that doesn't do anything. Fixed an issue that could cause fishing hotspot locations to be visibly culled, which could make them exceptionally difficult to find. Huh? But then how is it indicated when you fish, like when you empty one out? Oh, not sure. We have our fishing expert who can tell us more about that. Updated the logic for teleporting players away from faction control points, so it should allow more players from each faction to participate. Not quite sure what that's about. Yeah, no idea what that one is about. Fixed infinite loading wheel that could occur when you try to purchase something from the trading post that already been purchased by another person. Fix an issue that could cause a significant increase to influence gains for attacking factions after 72 hours. This increase is still present but has been reduced by 50%. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Some places the influence gain was insane, so scaling it down a little bit is logical. But it means that it's still very hard to hold things for a very long time. Then we have fixed an issue that was causing invites to Outpost Rush to not time out correctly, which was causing them to be considered part of the invited group. Okay. Fix an issue that could cause boss drops in an expedition to roll far outside of the appropriate gear score range. Interesting. I don't know in which direction that is, up or down or both. Fix an issue that made it possible for players to trade directly with each other over long distances by fast traveling in the middle of a trade. Okay. Fix a number of exploits with gold, item trading and duplication. Okay. Fix an issue that was causing some named items to not drop in expeditions. So some of them were not even dropping at all, I suppose. Fix an issue where players could get stuck in a lag detected state if they're removed from a war roster after they get their war invite, but before they accept it. Okay. Fix a conflict between queuing for war and playing in an expedition where a player could be pulled out of the expedition. Okay. Fix an issue where fibers were giving tier 3 item rewards instead of tier 2. Okay. Fixed some issues with seals not working with all faction armors. Yeah, that was weird. So that should hopefully work properly now. Removed a note about war camp gate strength because war camp gates are indestructible. This is interesting because we had a conversation about this in the Theory Crafter chat the other day, and I was like, wait, why do the war camps have a gate strength when you can't even attack them? Well, here you go, that's the answer. Added a limit to the number of Inferno traps that can be deployed during war. Again, yep, that makes a lot of sense because some people spammed it. Fixed an issue that could cause attacker turrets to be destroyed in one hit while they were mid-upgrade. Okay. Also good that they fixed that. Fixed an issue where dying as a war resolved could cause the player to enter a state where they were unable to interact with the game. However, whatever dying as a war resolved means. Fixed an issue where attacker cannons could not be attacked while in upgrade state. Yeah, we had that above. Fixed an issue where the war sign-up board didn't display the correct times for players from different time zones. Okay, good that they fixed that. 100%. Fixed an issue where players could spawn outside of the fort before a war started. Added collision to the roof of the war camp. Oh, so you get through that and snipe through that, I suppose. Fixed an issue with the Evanskull Reach war camp where defenders could not get in using some nearby geometry. Fixed an issue that was causing the vertical beams at capture points to be invisible during war. Fixed an issue that could cause some war invites to be sent out too early, and there's a lot of bugs with wars. Fixed an issue that could cause players to enter an unresponsive state when put on standby during war and invasion. Fixed an issue where siege weapon damage wasn't mitigated by armor. I think this is the third time that's mentioned now. Fixed an issue where rally points are lit up outside of the war, and defenders are no longer able to climb over the walls of the war camp. That is all that's on the list, but I bet that it's not all that is there. I bet they did something to death spawning, or probably will do that, like, so it can't be abused. And I have a strong feeling that if we try and dodge roll and sheath, we might also be in for a surprise. Not sure, but it's not mentioned here, but I have a feeling there are more things and maybe also more weapon changes, so we'll see. I'm gonna have a quick look at chat to see if I'm missing anything. Thank you, Savvy. Some fishing spots you couldn't see in the water. Yeah, that's what I'm guessing, but I thought it was just when they cleared out. The Great Axe is not a thing anymore if you're talking about the double hit. Let me have a look here. What's going on? Still better than the musket. Oh yeah, the 20-meter clearouts. Yeah, I don't know what's up with that. Like I said, I have a feeling they're not including everything, because from what I've been told so far, usually the patch notes are not entirely complete, but rather more like 50%, and the other stuff you have to find out yourself. So yeah, we will see if we can find it more later and I make a secret patch notes or something. Who knows? But yeah, I wouldn't necessarily expect everything to like not be fixed that's not mentioned here. But also keep in mind that maybe they don't mention some of the bugs that are known here because they may still be working on fixing them for the live patch. Didn't manage to fix it for open beta, so they rather not talk about it, so less people end up abusing it. But yeah, we don't know for sure how that will be. Yeah, that's everything. It's everything we have so far in terms of patch notes. At this point, I'm just going to say it real quick. In the next days, I'm not going to be streaming on YouTube. I will upload videos on YouTube. I have a bunch of stuff planned, but I'll be streaming on Twitch. I'm gonna drop my link in the chat for anyone who wants to watch me play during the actual beta. That'll be over here. So you can stop by there if you like. And yeah, if you're watching the stream later after it ended, then feel free to click the sub button and maybe the bell if you're gonna want to get notified of other upcoming patch note streams or of update videos for New World and guides and theory crafting breakdowns and everything. We got it all. It's all here. And yeah, with that, thank you guys for watching for now. I'll hop into Discord very quick, I think. If anyone has any other questions, I might do like a mini live stream there just for a sec. So I can cut this stream short, but if you have anything else, I'll just be in the Discord chat for a moment. And with that, thank you guys for watching in this place. I hope to see you for the next one soon, later. We have a very interesting one about con versus damage in the beta. So yeah, if you want to know about that, make sure to stop by tonight, because I found some things for low levels and stuff that are very, very interesting. And yeah, See you for that, maybe. I've been Duke Sloth, out.